It's the hardest sport in the world, but I've no idea how it actually caught on. And because I've never had a hole-in-one, I didn't even register that it could be a hole-in-one. YouTube's now at a stage where realistically it's too big to fail. You're walking through history as you play that golf course. I'd be the most useless person in the world. There's no plan. There's never been a plan. I didn't even know how to get here this morning.
Pete, so we'll come on to the future in a minute, but I want to kind of go to the past a little bit. And if I told you in roughly 2015, you'd be sat here now, with the amount of subscribers you've got, making the content that you've got, what would you say to me?
Never in doubt.
Always part of the plan?
No, I don't want you to get any kind of false impressions. There's no plan. There's never been a plan. I don't even know, I didn't even know how to get here this morning. So the chances of me understanding what I was going to be doing 10 years ago to now is just a non-starter. But the best thing is with what we do is there's always that adaptability, there's always something new, there's always something to kind of learn and to push on with. So if you'd have asked me back then if we'd be doing what we're doing now, I'd have said no, but at the same time, I don't know what we're going to be doing in a year. So it's a fantastic kind of place to be where I don't know what's going on, but I got a feeling it's probably going to be positive.
And it feels like quite a malleable place, the content creation side, especially from where you're from. To your point, in a year, you might be doing something totally different, the trends might change. Is that something you sort of relish and enjoy?
Yeah, it's just about learning and seeing what other, not only like golf creators, but it's more around what the whole space is doing as well. And we're in a lucky place really where we can try different things, but at the end of the day, it's golf, and golf's been around for hundreds of years. So we're not doing anything revolutionary, we're just trying to show the game in a new way.
And it's quite a crowded space, the YouTube market. So what do you think's made your channel stand out from its sort of inception and continuing through today? What's helped you grow and become the sort of figure you are?
To be honest, I put it down to mostly just hard work. Like, I am not, by any means, I'm not the most charismatic, I'm not that funny, I'm pretty ugly, very average kind of pro golfer. I think it's just the consistency and just learning and understanding that this is actually the only thing that I've ever been half decent at. Everything else is crap. I can't do anything else. Like, this is it. Like, if there was a zombie apocalypse tomorrow, I'd be useless. I'd be the most useless person in the world. But for whatever reason, this is something that I seem to be okay doing. So I'm just going to carry on until somebody turns around and says, actually, we don't understand this. What are you doing? Why are we watching? And at that point, I'll be like, I don't know. I've just been getting away with it for years.
So, the channel's been growing, obviously, and continues to grow for however long it's been now, 10 plus years. Can you pinpoint any key moments or key videos or a meeting you might have had with your team that you remember really fondly, or that sort of allowed the channel to grow into what it has?
So until about 4 years ago, like, it wasn't really growing that fast at all, but what I decided to was just pre-pandemic. And any money that I made on the videos, I decided to take a bit of a gamble and get a couple of staff on board who knew what they were doing. And surprisingly, it actually worked out. And the whole kind of ethos behind that was, I'm going to get people in positions who know a lot more than I do about that particular thing. And since that point, I've tried to add somebody new every year. So we're now up to kind of 5 full-time members of staff and then me. And, I think I've pretty much got, in my eyes, I think I've got the best kind of team out of anyone I know in the golf YouTube space. But this is what, I need it. There's other better creators than me. I need that team of people who actually understand and know what they're doing. And I'm fortunate enough to really have that now. So that was the real turning point. It wasn't, new content ideas, better filming and editing, all the rest of it, but actually having people around me who are good at what they do, that's the most important thing.
And so we spoke sort of briefly alluded to it at the start there, but your content mix now, where does, reviews, buying advice, club content, teaching to an extent, where does that fit into your content mix now, would you say?
So we've got, this is going to sound so anal. So we've got...
we know at the back of our head, do we? Yeah.
So we've got a list of, start of the year, it was 82 videos.
Yeah.
And we split that between course vlogs, a series that we do, Scratch Golf, which is just me going to different courses, different stories, taking it on, collaborative videos, club reviews, any coaching content. And we just split that down into different categories. Like, we think there's room here in the diary to do 10 matches, say. We've got room to do 12 club reviews. We've got that all planned out at the start of the year. And then it was a process of saying, okay, what the club review is going to be. Well, the new TaylorMade driver's coming out, so that's worth the story. New Callaway, great. What if we compare, for example, the Ping and the TaylorMade, the most forgiving drivers that are out? So it's all that process of getting those ideas down, then trying to plan them, then trying to execute them to the best of the ability. What we've done is a couple of years ago we launched a coaching channel, because I'm still very, very keen to provide coaching content. That's really where I started doing everything. And they're the type of videos that you can watch in 10 years' time, and the information in there still going to be valid. So it's that evergreen type of video, and to have a separate channel for that's great. We've got a separate podcast channel now, which allows us again a different avenue to do different videos. I really want to make another channel as well, just to give us a little bit more work. But, I mean, that's the idea. We can grow and we can make more videos, we can make more channels. There's so many different avenues to really go down.
Course vlogs, the coaching stuff, the podcast, gear reviews and the good buying advice you do. Is there one that you love the most, or is it like picking a favourite child?
I love all my children.
Yeah.
I think for me, probably my favourites at the moment, Quest for the Open, which is like a series we do, trying to qualify for the Open. This year that's 10 videos, already planned out, already scripted. I qualified for the Open, by the way. Yeah,
you in?
Yeah, I've already organised it.
That's how far ahead you planned. I'm going to play perfect golf.
That's how far I planned it.
Good.
Even planned the shots, which is great. It's like a process of improvement and getting better. Yeah. It kind of really focuses to actually play a lot more. The series that we do go around playing different courses. That for me is a real, what's the word? It's like a real genuine pleasure at the fact that when I was growing up and when I was a junior golfer, like all junior golfers that turn pro, like they want to play on tour, they want to be a great player. That never transpired for me. I was never good enough. But what I can do is I can make a video on, I go to play for me, go to play this beautiful course, and I can then put that out there, and I'm technically going to get paid for playing golf.
Correct. In a roundabout way, yeah.
On my own.
Yeah.
Just playing and like just showing people the course and hopefully playing well. That's wild to me. That's crazy. Like that's an actual dream. And that's why like when there's surveys of kids nowadays about like what they want to be when they grow up, that's why so many people say YouTubers or like influencers, whatever it is, because like genuinely get to do what I enjoy and call it a job. And obviously there's stuff around it. There's stuff that makes it stressful. There's stuff that makes it like a proper job and work. But ultimately, to be able to go out, film, play, and make a living from that is crazy. And not be a top pro. It's mad. It is mad.
Do you still pinch yourself with that then, every now and again? When like, just speaking about it then, when you really sort of sit down and take a bit of stock every now and again, this moment here perhaps, you go, oh, it's actually kind of mad.
Honestly, I'm like I said, there's points where it's stressful. Yeah. There's points where I'm like, oh, what are we doing? This is terrible. Like, what a mistake. But ultimately, I've done other work aside from this. So, my dad had a landscaping business. I worked for him. That was awful. Early mornings, hard work, freezing cold, laying paving slabs. No, never again. Obviously, being a PGA Pro at a driving range prior to having the YouTube channel was tough. Like to try and get lessons and trying to work in a pro shop, like these things just, it turned me off kind of being a PGA pro for a bit, that kind of thing. Then I was a journalist for a couple of years. And to be fair, that one was the real moment where I was like, if I can work in golf and not be, it was a full-time newspaper journalist, and to not do that.
That was the moment you thought, if I can get into golf, we're going to make it, pay the bills.
There was a point, I was like down in Shropshire, and I was covering a story, a horrific story, like a lad who was back from uni, he was repairing the roof on a grain silo, fell through.
Yeah.
And he died, he suffocated in the grain. And like, the newspaper's like, we need to go out and try and speak to the family, which you had to do a door knock, death knock, as it was called. But I was kind of driving up this farm lane. It was the middle of winter. There was snow on the ground. Got to the farmyard. There was like a dog just wandering around in the rain. There was lights on in the house. Your grieving family in there. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what am I actually doing here? This is the worst moment of this family's life, and I'm going to knock on the door and ask them to speak. I was like, no, I'm out. So I literally called quit and then just left.
And what do you think over the last sort of, let's say, 20 years, this century at least, that's allowed more people to get into golf? And we'll come on in a minute to perhaps some areas that golf can improve and get more people involved. But is there anything that you've noticed that has helped more people get into the game, and as you just mentioned there, get the bug, or at least do something that allows them to stay with it for a while?
So the same barriers still exist that have always existed. Accessibility, even though that's getting better, golf is still a very difficult sport to approach. Like if your friends don't play, for example, it's really hard to go into a club, to feel comfortable, and to be accepted. Golf clubs can be very cliquey. It's just a fact. Expense, that is something which is always a big turn-off. If you're getting into a sport, what do I need? Clubs. Okay, how much are clubs? $1,000 for a set of irons. Are you actually taking the piss? Like, that is what a lot of people think. They say, well, I can't afford that. I've got a family, all the rest of it. That is changing a bit more now. I'm going to blow kind of the YouTube trumpet a touch now. I think what we've shown with club reviews, and if you're looking to buy a new anything, a new phone, a new watch, whatever it's going to be, the chances are the first place you're going to go now is YouTube and say, I want to buy a new watch. What's the best one? Which I did the other day.
There you go.
And I'm like, okay, cool, right. So, and it's same with golf clubs. Okay, I need a new driver. What is the best new driver for beginners? The videos will pop up, and you'll be able to see it. And often you'll be able to see that some of these videos are 2 years old. I was like, well, this driver's 2 years old. Oh, it's like £200 cheaper online. So, that kind of accessibility as far as clubs goes is really, really improved. And I think access to, I was saying about the coaching channel.
Yeah.
Golf can be difficult to get into as well because it's so hard. It's the hardest sport in the world.
Yeah.
I've said this before. I've no idea how it actually caught on. Stupid. Why would you start playing? It's so stressful and it's so hard, and yet there's something about it. It only takes that one shot to get you hooked. And with online coaching now, like, how do I hold it? You don't need to pay the money for a lesson to understand it. You can go, all right, okay, I grip it like that, all the rest of it. So the accessibility to information around the game has improved vastly, and it makes it so much more approachable now.
And so we're building, right? Better things are happening within golf, within the industry. What do you think could happen, or what do you think we need to build on to sort of ride the coattails of this little boom we're experiencing? How can we make sure we don't get a bleed off from the people who've sort of got stuck in over the last couple of years?
I think one of the things which definitely helped with my generation of golfers was having someone like a Tiger to watch on TV. The inspiration of like how he was playing. Like, oh my God, I want to do that. That looks amazing. All the rest of it. I don't think we quite have that at the moment. Obviously, with everything that's going on with the PGA Tour, with Live and the split, and it just doesn't feel like it's quite that kind of aspirational, inspirational space at the moment, unless you want to get paid a lot of money. I think having a figurehead that youngsters can actually look at and get inspired by is important. And as we mentioned, it's just allowing that more of an accessible kind of feel to the whole game. I mean, there's always going to be like private clubs that are going to cost a lot to join and that have a little bit more of a closed gate policy. And I actually don't mind that. I'm absolutely fine with that. It's having a level of courses that people can get involved in, that they want to be members at, that they want to enjoy visiting at the weekend. It's keeping that level of accessibility open, which it's not always easy to do. And at the end of the day, we kind of mentioned this a little bit, but golf has been around for literally hundreds of years. Literally hundreds of years. Kings banned people from playing because they weren't practicing their archery enough. That's how long golf has been around. And in many ways, I don't think we need to fear that it's going to go away or people are going to lose interest in it. It will still be there. But I think we've done a really good job of keeping the current crop of people who are playing. I'm actually fairly optimistic. I'm not in a position where I'm worried about people slipping away or the game kind of dying. I'm not worried about that at all.
And can I come back on the point you just made about banging the YouTube drum slightly for that accessibility? You mentioned coaching for a total beginner to go, as you said, how do I hold a club? I don't know. You can find that online. Yeah. You can find club reviews now. You can find easy ways of buying it. How do you see YouTube continuing to do that? And do you think it's probably one of the best platforms at the minute for total beginners to find what is quite an alienating game actually quite comforting and, I can do that?
I mean, it's very easy for me, potentially, because, I'm within the space, and obviously from what I see, from the comments that we get from people approaching us, I know that personally, like my channel and coaching and all the rest of it has gotten people into golf, it's gotten people back into golf, it's inspired people to get their friends involved, which is an incredible thing to be aware of, that kind of people are watching a golf video on YouTube and thinking, that looks great, I want to get into it. I think as far as the growth of it used to be, and I think this is the case for probably a lot of fields now, that if you wanted to, say, get into TV work, YouTube and social media was seen as a way to advertise yourself. So one day you could be on Sky, or one day you could work on a main broadcaster. Realistically now, what you're seeing, especially within the YouTube space, is established professionals and established media personalities in the mainstream move more towards the social and the YouTube space, because it just allows you that freedom. And crucially, that's where the attention is. We know that people are watching TV less and less and less as that is slowly kind of phased out. The only thing realistically in 20 years that is going to be on TV that isn't streaming is going to be live sports. Mm-hmm. People aren't watching live TV anymore. It just doesn't happen. So this is where the real growth is going to occur. And YouTube's now at a stage where realistically it's too big to fail. Mm-hmm. YouTube will be here. It's just a thing. People go on YouTube. It's like people search on Google. It's there. So I'm pretty confident that the golf space is going to keep growing and people are going to keep watching, and the interest will continue to grow as well. So I'm pretty confident that it's going to be around for a while and it's going to positively affect the game.
And it's interesting now, and we'll come on to chat about the Myrtle Beach qualifier that you were involved in, and I found it fascinating seeing the PGA Tour reach out now into that content creation space to help, boost its own image or viewership. We'll come on to the sort of nitty-gritty of the event itself, but just more broadly, how did you react to that, sort of getting invited to that, and how do you see that strategically from the PGA Tour's point of view, dipping into YouTube's popularity to maybe help it? Because its viewing numbers are struggling on linear television. Yeah. So it's trying to, how do you feel about that basically, and trying to, widen its pool?
To be honest, it was a great idea, and the idea was really spawned from the tournament side. So Play Golf Myrtle Beach. They had this concept of what it could be, and then kind of agreed that with the PGA Tour. At the end of the day, the PGA Tour is, with a lot of golf organisations, it's very much entrenched in the way it does things. the big negative things which has happened for them is the fact that with streaming, with the way that people watch their content now, it's all digitized. So you can tell, you can understand where the actual attention is. And all of a sudden, like over the last 4 or 5 years, it's been like, oh right, even though this sports channel is shown in 20 million households across the United States, for example, we now know that actually there's only 1.5 million people watching this event. So when they go to advertisers and say, oh, we're in 20 million households, advertisers now say, well, how many people are actually watching? And that's where the big crunch is going to come, because there's so much money now being piled into golf from all these different angles. People are going to say, well, where's the attention? Like, where are people actually watching the golf? Because they're not watching the Valero Texas Open. So where are people watching golf this week? And with what YouTube can do with all the data, is say, well, actually, we've got this big golf community here, and we've got millions of views literally every day on this content. Okay, what should we do? Well, if we hold a qualifier, get these people involved, what will happen? And what we saw was a huge amount of interest. So I really don't see any way that it can step back from this point. We're going to see more and more and more of this. So I think from a point of view of what was done, it's very exciting, interesting, and really, I think, a test. So I think next year and years after that, it'll just keep growing.
And interestingly, so we're sat, I think, just over 24 hours from that video going live of that qualifying event, already over 500,000 views on a YouTube channel that had, 20,000 subscribers or something, the Myrtle Beach, its own YouTube channel. So it's proven that the interest is there, I think, already, and that will creep up to numbers that the PGA Tour get on a Sunday of a mid-ranking sort of tour event, right?
It was a strange format because it wasn't a live video, but it was a premiere. So if you were to click on that video, you would watch. It's a 2-hour video. If you clicked on it after an hour, you would have to go to that hour point. So it's semi-live, and that was pulling in comparable views to Live, for example, which is wild. It's crazy. Let's go some of the very best players in the world playing there, and for, like I said, for a proof of concept for the first time. I don't really. There was stuff that could have been done better, I think, in the edit, just with my editing hat on. But like I said, for the first time, was crazy. The amount of views, and the amount of interaction, and what people were thinking about it.
And it was people's favourite, some of people's favourite content creators with a genuinely interesting prize on the line. I thought. I think that's what was driven it as well. What was it like to actually play in it? Because I sat and watched. I skipped through bits. I'll be honest. I probably spent an hour and a half in front of it yesterday in preparation for today. It looked like people were really dialed in. It looked like, it was a serious qualifying event. How was it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was. I think everyone who agreed to take part. It's difficult because you're trying to qualify for a PGA Tour event, an alternate field event, but still very much with exceptional golfers. So what the worry would be is if somebody from the YouTube space qualified and then they got through, and they got absolutely. They finished last, they got battered, all the rest of it. That would not be a good thing. But having said that, I think everyone who took part, and the reason everyone was really concentrating is we're representing here this new wave of kind of creators, of people who aren't really coming to golf from the mainstream media side of things. We want to represent ourselves the best way possible, which is why there was a lot more kind of focus, why there's a lot more riding on it in many respects, because we weren't just it sounds cheesy, it sounds stupid, and what a weird world we're living in. But we were kind of playing not only for our own channels, we were kind of playing for everyone who watches those videos, because we didn't want to let them down. Which is stupid. It sounds so stupid.
No, I get it,
how did we get to this point?
I totally get it, because if you all had chopped it around, for example, everyone would have gone, these YouTube lot, they're not serious, they're not playing proper golf. Oh, they're editing shots out, clearly, because when you put them on camera under pressure, they're terrible. They're clearly not, though, right? There's good golf taking place, and I think you sort of were custodians for content creators. Did it feel like that?
Yeah, that is exactly how it felt, and that was an added level of pressure. I think for most of the people playing in from a YouTube standpoint, that was my first comp in almost a couple of years,
Wow.
A year and a bit, and there was a few people in there. Something like Cole from Buster Jack, I don't actually think he's ever played in a professional event before, so there was a lot of nerves, there was a lot of pressure, and obviously George Bryan really flew the flag for us. So
Played some good golf, didn't he?
Exceptional golf, yeah. I mean, we were obviously around that last green when, spoilers.
Big spoiler alert, folks. Big spoiler alert.
When he made that bogey to drop into the playoff and then lost that playoff. Well, we were all gutted. We were all really, really gutted for him. Not just from a personal standpoint, but from we wanted to see one of our own to get through. So, yeah, I think overall, it's a success. And if the opportunity came around again, I think a lot more people would want to be involved.
And what was the reception like actually when that launched? I think broadly speaking, myself included, this is fun, this is interesting. We've already alluded to that. There was a little bit of perhaps online, why are these guys getting an opportunity? You're taking it away from tour pros or Corn Ferry pros, whatever. What did you experience from people on your channel or people around you when that announcement was made that it was going to happen?
I think it was mostly all positive.
Yeah.
One of the advantages was that this was a sponsors invite.
Yes.
And sponsors can invite anybody they want. Yeah. So to actually use it as an advertising platform for Myrtle Beach and to do something interesting, it was great. I think most people chimed in with that as well. I mean, you're always going to get negative comments, but I've done this for long enough now that generally it doesn't really bother me.
So we spoke off camera before we started. That's how you played. It was a good knock. You said you left a few out there. There was some good players there, some good ex-pro Matt Atkins who got in, who's had a few starts himself. What's sort of the difference do you think between your game and a PGA pro, or at least someone at the level of Matt's who's had tour starts? Did you get to witness that on the day and go, geez, that's a level ahead?
Yeah. I mean, from a ball striking standpoint, like myself and Matt, we strike it quite similar, really. I mean, I'm not a terrible ball striker. I hit it okay. The biggest difference really is first of all consistency, and then really the mental game is huge. These guys, they're not scared to go low. I get to 2-3 under, and I start papping my pants. I'm like, oh my God, where am I? What am I going to do? I've never been here before. So the amount of times that I've gone deep on the par is quite low compared to some of these guys. They're a lot more used to it than I am. I think from a personal standpoint, me to a PGA Tour player, it'd be probably like comparing, if I was a consistent scratch handicapper, like comparing me to a 10 handicapper, say. So I would say I'd be 10 on an average round with a good PGA player. Yeah. I'd be 10 shots off them. If they had a bad round, I'd be 5 shots. If I had a good round, I'd be 5 shots. If they had a good round and I had a bad round, it'd be like 20 shots. It's that kind of difference, which over the course of a round is fine. So I was like 4 shots off that playoff. If we then played the same golf for the whole tournament, obviously I'm going to be like 16 shots off them by the end of that tournament. Yeah. So that's the difference that we're talking about. I mean, with the videos that I do, it is the idea is that I will try and improve, and I'll find ways to try and get better. And like this year, I've been playing fairly consistent, but it's always been around that. It's been 1 over level. I'm playing like a very good scratch golfer at the moment.
Yeah. And do you find the time to practice? Because I guess your channel and some of your content is sort of reliant on you playing some half decent golf, right? So is it frustrating if you're not playing well? Do you get the time to really work on your game and make sure that it's your job? Like you mentioned earlier, you've got to be up to scratch, as it were.
This year, I think this year is the first year where I felt I have enough time to actually practice and to try and improve my game. So because we're filming videos, but I'm not physically handling a camera. I'm not doing the edits. I just got a new social media manager kind of involved, so he's kind of handling most of the social media side of things. So I've got more time, and I'm just trying to use that productively. The biggest barrier for me is, I think next week I've got a comp on the Monday, and then on Tuesday I've got a spare day before a comp on the Wednesday, Thursday, and I've put that Tuesday down as a practice day. So the most difficult thing for me is to say to the guys, listen, I'm not going to be in today, I'm going to have to practice and not film any of it. So to go out on a golf course without a camera.
Does that feel sacrilegious now?
It's weird.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, what am I doing? Like, I'm concentrating on my golf. Like, I'm not talking to the camera. It's an odd feeling. But I've done it for the best part of a decade now. So to actually step away from that and to focus on golf, not filming, is a strange situation. And to practice, it's odd. But I think I'm getting a bit better at it.
Lastly then, before we do some quick fire questions to end, YouTube, the future. We've sort of spoken about it as a channel, as a space for golf, but for you personally, it's very malleable, as you've mentioned. But with it feeling like it's coming a little bit more congested, people from, established broadcasters coming on, more channels appearing and more stuff happening, do you feel there's still space to grow within YouTube? And how big can it go, I guess, from your side and more generally?
I mean, how many tens of millions of golfers are there in the world? Like, people will continue to gravitate towards YouTube once they understand, other golfers start telling them about it, and then once they understand what is available there. So the audience will keep growing. I'm not really worried about that. I think as far as it getting congested, opportunities to break through, to do something different, to make a new channel. Best example probably at the moment, Grant Horvat, who's a US-based kind of golf influencer. He was part of Good, who many people would have heard of, has gone off and done his own channel. And I think probably maybe in a month, potentially 2 months, he would have passed me in subscriber numbers. And he's been doing his channel maybe 2 and a bit years, so I've been obviously going 10. So in that time period, he's overtaken someone who's been doing it for a long, long time. So it just shows, like, if you're making good videos and you're a likable person and you get your content right, you can still grow. Absolutely. And for me, that's great. You would need new people to be coming through, to be making interesting things. And what you find is once these channels start to grow, and then once they start filming together, everybody grows as a result. So the whole kind of ecosystem is just getting stronger and stronger. And for me, I don't really see any kind of negatives moving forward. I just see positive things happening. But I don't know, maybe it's just because I had a bit more sleep last night.
You got on the right side of the bed this morning. I can tell, very optimistic. The sun's just come out behind us. You brought the sunshine with me and a lovely coffee from Formby. Right, there's some quick fire questions before we end then. Okay. Dream collaboration on your channel?
Tiger, obviously. Like, is there any other answer? I mean, it's never going to happen, so that's definitely a dream. Tiger.
Best shot you've hit on camera?
A hole-in-one.
Where was that?
That was at Rosendale Golf Club. Have you been to Rosendale Golf Club?
I haven't been to Rosendale Golf Club.
Well, you are missing out.
Whereabouts is it?
It is in the heartland of Lancashire. Okay. Often covered in a fine sheet of rain.
Lovely.
But it was just me, my GoPro, about 12 sheep, just coming out of lockdown. And it's a slightly like hidden semi-blind, so you can see pretty much half the flag. And I've not had a hole-in-one before.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
first hole-in-one as well.
First hole-in-one, and it was straight down the flag. It was perfect 7-iron, 180 odd yards, 187 yards, I think it was, and it just straight down the pin. And because I've never had a hole-in-one, I'm like, I didn't even register that it could be a hole-in-one. So I was like, oh, that's a good shot. Got the GoPro, just carried on talking to it. I got up to the green, I'm like, oh. My first thought was, it's gone long.
Because you couldn't see it?
Yeah, because I couldn't see it. But then I thought, well, this green's actually about 40 yards long. So I'd have to hit this 7-iron 220 yards. So that wouldn't have happened. And I get closer, and I see the pitch mark, and I'm like, no, this can't be happening. And then it was just after lockdown, so they started the stupid pool noodles.
Oh, yeah, that was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was like the ball, I could see the ball before I got to it, just on top, and I was like, oh my God. Oh. It was brilliant.
I'll have to get that on camera as well. Can I bring you crashing back down to earth with the worst shot you've hit on camera?
I could fill
We could have a whole separate
several
interview.
YouTube videos with that. God knows.
One that stands out?
No. I've hit so many. I've hit way too many. And anyway, I don't think of that. Now I've got this new positive outset. In my mind, I've never hit a bad shot.
I'm going to say, I'm sorry to bring the optimism down this morning. The sun will probably go in.
I don't hit bad shots. I only hit shots which I can improve upon.
Yes, less than ideal shots. Most nervous you've been playing golf?
Oh God. Probably first time I tried to do open qualifying. I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was pretty nerve wracking. That was horrendous, actually. God. But to be honest, since that point, I've been nervous at different times. I played with Podrick Harrington the other day, teeing off with him. That was really nerve wracking. But yeah, mostly I'm all right now. I think as I've got older, I've chilled out a little bit.
Lastly, then, favourite golf course in the world?
So I've played a lot of amazing golf courses. So first of all, I could do a top 30, and it could interchange literally any day. I think top 3, Shishkeen on the Isle of Arran, 12-hole course, completely nuts. Remember playing there with my dad when I was a kid, and it was just amazing. It was just the perfect evening, incredible place, the Isle of Arran. If you've not been, you've got to go. And it was just a real moment that kind of stands out. Royal Aberdeen, which has probably the best front 9 of any golf course I've ever played. Just absolutely incredible. And I'll throw in the old course as well. I mean, if you've ever played the old course, if it was out of where it is, like it wouldn't really be that well known. Well, it would be well known because of the greens and all the rest of it, but it's the situation that it's in. It's the history. It's the fact that you finish in the town. It's had so many iconic moments. You know, you're walking through history as you play that golf course, that it just sticks in your mind. It's actually a course, oddly enough, that if you want to really appreciate it and you want it to stick in your mind, you have to play it more than once. Because the first time you play it, you remember the first tee shot, you remember 17, 18. And then you're like, what just happened? I have no idea what's just happened there. So you have to play it again to actually see the rest of the course, because you're just wandering around in a daze most of the time. So I'll say those are my top 3. All in Scotland, best place in the world. But it could change on a daily basis.
It sounds like there's a lot more as well.
Yeah, we could. This is
maybe a separate video for a separate time.
I think so.
Pete, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.